Have you ever felt like when you really focus hard on a specific exercise? For example, in my mind right now, it's squats. That's the one that I'm really focused on getting stronger at, right? Or incline bench. Those are two exercises that I'm really, really, really drilling hard during my workouts. That you feel like after a little while of focusing on them, progress on them basically grinds to a halt. That's what I'm going through right now on those two example exercises that I gave. I just got finished watching a 3 hour long podcast on building an ideal physique by Andrew Huberman and his guest. And what they spoke a lot about in that podcast was variety of exercises, which is something that I'm not really too familiar with per se. Like it's not something I integrate often into my workout routines, but it was something that I was very interested in learning about, right? And it really got me thinking how much I could benefit from a variety of exercises. This is not something, by the way, that I'm recommending super hard. I recommend things at different levels according to what I've tried out and what I know gives results, right? So I'll recommend some tips, some advice. If I think like I've tried them out, I know for a fact that it has gotten me results and I believe that it will get you results. So I have like high confidence in that. But this is something that I haven't really honestly tried out that much. Like I've never really implemented, excuse me, what I am going to explain to you in this video today. So basically, variations of exercises. The specific practice that they mentioned was mixing up certain exercises that are sort of the same but are kind of different, right? So instead of doing, for example, bench press every single push day, you mix it up between barbell free weight machine, isolateral, or like compound and isolation exercises. Like you kind of mix it up across those different qualities, but it's essentially still the same kind of movement, right? So for example, instead of every push day you do bench press, what he recommended was do bench press for sure, like one day, but then maybe also the next days that you work in, that you're doing like push, you do chest press instead. Or you do maybe dumbbell bench press, right? Or maybe you do like an incline movement instead. Or maybe you do a decline movement. Or maybe you do isolateral, right? So like one arm at a time. But basically, you just vary it up so you're not doing the same thing every single time, as long as it still closely resembles the original movement. So for squats, as an example, it could be barbell back squats, and then it could be front squats. It could be leg press machine, right? It could be maybe Bulgarian split squats, something like that, right? Basically, just varying up the exercise so it's not the same thing every single time. Now, what are the benefits of this, right? Because this actually seems like kind of inconvenient, doesn't it? It's like, well, I'm trying to level up in one exercise, and if I mix it up, then I'm not going to practice as much in one exercise. I'm not going to get as good at it as fast. So, what is the actual benefit of doing that? And they discussed a few things that actually made me kind of like consider it. Because when I hear advice like this, a lot of the times I can go into it with some kind of like doubt because I'm not really sure if it's actually valuable. But they discussed some benefits. First of all, the mix in movements, the movements that you mix in, can leave you less sore. So there are certain exercises that don't do this, right? Like a lot of compound exercises, heavy compound movements. If you do them pretty hard, if you do them at an intensity that you are supposed to, then they're going to leave you sore. That is right. That is good. However, sometimes it's not always nice to be sore, is it? Certain chest exercises like chest press don't leave you as sore as bench press, right? The heavy compound movement when you do them. So if it's push day and you're already kind of sore, mixing in something like chest press will let you train up strength but won't leave you quite as sore, right? That was kind of like just sort of an example of a benefit that they give. Like if you mix up, leg press instead of squats, and you just kind of like add certain just a lot of variety of exercises that you do, then some of those exercises in the variation are going to leave you less sore, and that's a benefit of it, right? Because you can focus on training up strength. You can focus on, improving without all of that added soreness. And I don't, I like being sore, but at a certain point when your muscles are super fatigued, it's actually hard to recover them enough in time for the next workout. So, for example, this happens all the time. Leg day. If I hit a really, really, really good leg day, it feels amazing, but my legs are sore. And a lot of the times, my legs don't recover fast enough to where the next leg day, they're not going to be sore. And I'm actually going to feel way worse working them and probably be weaker, right? So that's one of the benefits of having a lot of variety, right? Benefit number two is variation makes muscles strong across a range of movements, right? So if you practice one exercise a lot, you're going to get really good at that one exercise. But if you don't practice any of the other variations, you're going to be really weak at all of the other variations. I'll give you an easy example of this, right? If you focus all of your attention on the shoulder press machine, but you never practice barbell military press, right? Barbell overhead press. Even though you get strong at the shoulder press machine, you would probably agree that you're not going to be that strong you'd be kind of weak at overhead barbell press, right? Because you just haven't done the movement a lot. In the same way, if you have a lot of variety across like all all types of exercises, but they still kind of closely resemble each other, right? So bench press, compound movement, chest press, isolateral, like free weight movements. If you have a lot of variety, your muscles are going to be really good in a lot of situations, right? That kind of makes sense. If you just drill like one specific exercise, yeah, your muscle's going to get stronger, but certain parts of your muscles, because we have a lot of muscles in our body, might not get worked as much. You might develop certain aspects of your muscles, but not others, if that makes sense, right? Because a lot of the times what I'm finding now, as I get better and better and better at a lot of exercises in the gym, I get stronger and stronger, more weaknesses actually are popping up that I notice, right? So I'll be doing a certain exercise for a muscle group that is, like I've been really focusing on. That's what I've been doing my entire journey. And then I find out, oh, but my upper chest is actually kind of weak. Like if I do lower chest a bunch, my upper chest is actually kind of weak, right? Or if I'm, doing a ton of lateral raises, I love lateral raises, and then I try to go to an anterior deltoid movement, right? That's like the front instead of the side, the front head of the delt. I find out that my front head of the delt is actually pretty weak in relation to the side head of my delt. And so when you don't have variations in your exercises, that can lead to kind of weaknesses, like weird little like flaws in your physique and in your strength that you otherwise wouldn't have if you just had basically a bunch of variation in exercises. Benefit number three that they mentioned that I thought was a little bit odd, but I kind of got behind, was that you can PR more often if you follow this approach. The idea is basically if you focus on one exercise, like squats, right? And you try and progressively overload by 5 pounds every single week, you'll go for a while like that as your quads are getting stronger, your legs are getting stronger, but you're not going to be able to maintain that for the entire year, right? You would agree. Like 52 weeks of trying to progressive overload, you're not going to get an extra 5 pounds every single week. It's just not going to happen. That would be like 260 pounds added to your squat, which is not likely to happen in a single year, right? One of the benefits that they mentioned was you can just PR way more often if you vary up the exercises. So if you're not trying to do squats every single leg day, then you can focus on PRing on other muscle groups, other variations, excuse me, not muscle groups, other variations along the same kind of lines, right? So you can focus on PRing on leg press, you can focus on PRing on Bulgarian split squats, on, like something like lunges. Another kind of, or like hack squat machine. Another kind of movement that is very, very similar, but it's not the exact same exercise. And so there are kind of like more variations the PRs are spread across more variations. I don't know if this actually makes you like stronger or if it just makes you feel like you're making more progress across a wider range of exercises. So I don't know exactly what to think about that benefit per se. But it's if that interests you, then that is a benefit. It is kind of appealing that you can constantly see yourself making progress across a bunch of exercises. And then tying into that, another benefit is basically progress doesn't slow as much for one particular exercise. So if you do squats one leg day and then, the second leg day you do just focus on heavy leg press and then the leg day after that you focus on some other variation, when you come back to squats, you're probably going to get that PR, right? Because, the PRs are spread out a little bit more, so you're not trying them as frequently. You're getting stronger in the meantime, and but you're still like training up strength and stuff like that. So progress won't slow as much for one particular exercise. You'll essentially hit more PRs because you've got more variation, of course. So yeah, I really want to try this out. Like I'm actually quite excited to try this out because I feel like almost every day now when I go into the gym, I'm getting stronger. Like I am improving for sure. But anytime like I work out with new people and like I do different exercises, I'm always finding an exercise that I'm actually kind of bad at. Like I'm strong at it, right? But compared to my other exercises in the gym, it isn't up to the level that my original main exercises are. And so I really want to master a wide variation of exercises. Now, how am I going to do this? I've been thinking about this today. I think what I'm going to do is have each day of my split structured exactly the same, right? So let's say leg day, right? I'm going to have some sort of like pushing movement for my quads. I'm going to have some sort of hamstring movement. I'm going to have some sort of movement for my calves, right? And then, maybe my glutes, something like that. Like, so I'll have it structured that way every single day. However, I'm not going to repeat exercises the next day that I do them. So the next leg day that rolls around, if my pressing movement is heavy squats, I'm not going to do that same exercise the next time a leg day rolls around. Maybe I'll choose leg press or another pressing variation, right? Hack squat machine, something like that. For example, biceps. Maybe one pull day, the first pull day, I'll do barbell bicep curls. And then the second pull day, I'll do preacher curls. And then the third pull day, I'll do incline dumbbell curls, right? So I'm cycling through them. But basically, I'm doing the same kind of movement. I'm just making sure there's variation. And I'm never doing the exact same movement that I did last time. Again, I don't know how well this works. I need to try this out, but this might be something that interests you if you find that like progress on a certain exercise has slowed a lot and you're kind of like on certain other exercises that you don't do that you'd really like to get good at, you're just not that strong. So maybe if you're in the same position as me and you're like, I want more variation in my routine, this could be really good for you to try as well. Anyways, I'm going to rewrite my routine to incorporate this, experiment with it a little bit, and then I'm going to kind of probably make like a review video on how it went, especially if it went really well and I actually saw like a ton of growth and progress from it. Then I'll definitely make a video and I'll like highly recommend it. Until then, it's kind of just like on my for you to consider list. So it's just kind of like information, kind of like advice that I have not tried out, someone else has recommended, and you're free to try out as well. If you got any value from this video, there's something that you can do which is a win-win for both of us, which is to scroll down and click the subscribe button. I win because I get a new subscriber. You win because anytime I have a new insight, learn something new, or try something new, I can make a video and directly give you value. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Go subscribe. Bye.